like, I guess all the rest of those are going to be getting added soon. Ooh.
Winter storm causes power outages in Texas and prompts advisors across the U.S. Huh.
Freaking out. Oh my god, it's a plant user.
Dendro user?
As soon as the Dendro Kingdom gets added, there's going to be a slew of them.
Let me get my I don't care hat real quick.
I know you don't care, but I'm just going to say it anyway because I got nothing
I don't
else
care
to
that you
talk.
broke your elbow.
Okay, I see how it is.
Oh,
I guess I
that?
just will shut up and no longer be part of any conversation.
Okay.
To be honest, I may have to be AFK for a bit because I think I need to start moving some furniture around in a bit.
Okay.
Because, yeah.
Alright, well.
Well,
Knuckles is dead.
that's okay. I killed him.
I gotta recollect everything that we worked on. Or more accurately, what you and I have worked on.
Ooh, come on, man.
I mean, Race hasn't done anything these 2 weeks. He's
Yeah,
worked on
like-
his project, though.
You have to say it to his face. God.
Cry.
Okay.
This is a shit rock yeah moment, honestly.
A shit rock yeah moment.
A shitting rocks moment. I mean, if he's like the dwarves from Artemis Fowl, he will be. He keeps tunneling. Oh, are they dwarves? No. Yeah, they are dwarves. I'm pretty sure dwarves are the tunneling ones.
That's the thing with the weird.
Yeah, the unhinged jaw.
Yeah.
It's feeding time.
It's feeding time.
Oh, God.
I have not seen Artemis Fowl. I've only seen that scene, and it disgusted me. And I'm like, I don't want to watch this movie now.
Yeah, I have the books, so I'm good.
Shadow watched it. He was actually excited for it because he had read a few of the books as a kid. He was like, "Oh yeah, I actually want to watch this movie and like hopefully it'll be good." And then like the next day, I looked at him like, "So how was it?" He's like, "It was shit. It was terrible." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah, like for me, it's like okay, Alex. I used to watch the Alex Rider books, pretty much like 007, but a kid. The one movie they made about it was alright, but Percy Jackson was kind of fucked on also. I like that. That was like my first book I really read. That was not fiction. What's good? The new Esfrio. Burritos are pretty good. But other than that, like I'm a big fan of nachos. Not everyone else is, and like honestly, they're kind of messy, but they're also nice. But I also go for the horchata. Oh, you mean like? I'm alright.
I'm more of a Chinese food kind of guy myself. I like the orange chicken.
Come on.
There's also the peanut
fuck?
chicken. Peanut chicken's good.
Chinese food's alright, but like, I have to be in the mood for it, honestly. Like, I don't see how people can eat Chinese food all the time, even though it's cheap.
I could. Okay, not all the time. I like the taste of Chinese food, but my stomach hates it. Like, every single time I eat Chinese food, I end up getting, like, major
It's also not that
stomach
filling,
issues.
or as filling as you want it to be.
I always come out of a Chinese restaurant full, but I also always go to, like, buffets and stuff, so.
Yeah.
He's about to say. Hit rock.
That's my secret, Tony. I'm always about to say.
Tony. He says cap. The secret cap. I can't
Why did I
believe
say
you
Tony?
misquoted. I can't believe you misquoted that, Emmanuel.
I am disappointed in your manual.
You have to pop in just to say that.
Yeah.
Come on.
I will be taking 10 points away from Gryffindor.
Alright, so it's been about 5 minutes now, so we can probably get started on some stuff. So I guess the first couple of things that are not like major, but have been done as like additions or alterations. Knuckles' running animation has been changed. It's got a little more bounce to it, less sway. It looks like you also changed the arms. Like, Knuckles' arms are further out.
Yeah.
I don't really like that.
I don't like the arms being out?
Yeah, I purposefully made the arms closer together. Because it looks more awkward holding your arms out whenever you run like that.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to augment it so it looked more, like, pronounced, like, from looking at it from the back.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, that's me just not knowing what you're going for.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have to be brought in too much. They can be brought in a little bit. But just, like, to me, it looks really awkward when you hold them out, because, like, that's not something you do when you're in a fighting stance, you know? You don't hold your arms out, you hold your arms in.
Yeah. No, I agree. I was just trying to make it look like...
I agree, it looks more pronounced from behind that way, but, it also looks kind of awkward if you look at it any other way. Except sideways, but it doesn't look any different sideways.
Yeah, not really. What I did mostly was that I just made the arms like tilt up and down to act kind of like shopping throwers, so they wouldn't move as much when they're going up and down, left and right.
Mm-hmm. So another small change that we've done is we're not done altering it, but the spline path now works on a trigger box. It checks for an overlap event that rather than. Because how both the spline path and how the water volume used to work was it would upon starting the gameplay it would immediately cast to the master character and save it as a reference, which it shouldn't really be doing because it needs to, one, that's not good for multiplayer, and two, it was allowing these two to run on event ticks, which was not ideal. The spline path still runs on an event tick, so that hasn't been fixed. We gotta still alter that, but that's not honestly that huge of a deal.
It shouldn't be.
But oh, excuse me. But it now runs on a trigger box. Now it only casts and grabs a reference to you if you're inside of the trigger box. But it will soon be altered to run on a timer. That way it's not running every tick, even if you're not inside of it.
Yeah. Well,
that won't be a difficult change to do.
I'm not sure if you wanted to run less than a tick if you're inside of it, because it kind of relies on that data being fresh to like get the most accurate like stuff.
What do you mean?
Well, like for instance, if you're in Toonie spline, it determines where you're going to be by like checking your location against the spline and then like getting the plane of that to determine like your constraint. And if it's like off and you're moving really quickly, it being less than a tick could potentially, I'm not saying it will, but
no, I mean like we can set the timer to be tick speed, but if we still set it on a timer, then it's not sitting there running whenever we're not overlapping with it.
Okay, I'm not apparently moving any furniture tonight, so I'm here.
Okay. No furniture. Okay, but yeah, I'm also probably gonna make sure that like the debug stuff will run on like a much longer tick, so they won't take up as much stuff, even if you are running it.
Yeah, some of this debug stuff is starting to like lag things out a little bit. Like I can tell my editor is not running at a smooth 60. Whenever I move around, especially when looking at the spine stuff. But
now you know how it feels.
That was another small change. Dan, what was another small change that you had done? I thought you did another small change.
Not to the splines, although I did just make sure they worked.
Yeah,
the AI enemies. It wasn't a small change, but I just updated the new ones to take damage and get destroyed and respawn.
Yeah.
It's not 100% done, but they're in a much better state now.
Yeah, they can get destroyed and respawn.
Yeah, they do have a problem where they don't bounce for some reason, and they're still a bit inconsistent. Not inconsistent, but just a bit weird about being launched. But that's probably just because Knuckles would snap onto the other AIs, but not these, so it just feels off.
Bonk.
Yeah.
Bonk.
Bonk.
Alrighty. So, yep. I also have read up and learned about how all these enemies work now, because I was not a part of putting these together. That was mainly Reese's doing, but now
the behavior trees.
Yep. I know how they function now, so I can actually help work on them.
Nice. Alright, get to work.
So, yep, that was another small thing. I can't think of any other small things at the moment, so I guess we could move on to some of them.
Alright, I guess one thing we could show off is like if we're going up gradually from small to big, you can show off the change we did to Knuckles' spike move.
Oh, yeah. So, how it used to work was whenever you would do a spike move, and you would charge it for a few seconds, meaning that you were up in the air or you had jumped from a high ledge and hit the ground, Knuckles would do a radius damage. And we said that was never going to be like the final thing for it.
That decal's a little too like tall.
Yeah.
It needs to just be flat.
So now currently, Knuckles' spike move.
You can press C to show it off. Sorry.
Knuckles' spike move only does a cone damage in front of you. So let's see if I can do it again. Pop. As you can see, there's a cone that extends out from Knuckles.
Yep.
And it will it'll only appear if you have charged for so long now.
Yeah, actually, a really small one appears, even if you don't charge for too long, but it normally just stuns enemy in front of you, just to make so that you don't have to be too precise, but you're not going to see it. Like, it happens so quickly, you're not going to normally see it. It's a problem.
Yeah. I don't know if that was actually what killed the enemy, but it might have just been...
I think you bonked on him.
Yeah.
You're not really going to notice it unless you charge for a while, which is for the point.
So, yep.
Yep, and it's like Reinhardt's Earth Shatter, where it'll try to crawl up and down terrain too, making it a bit more versatile.
Yep. So I don't know if it'll work on this, but okay, I'm not close enough. Whoop. Yep, there we go. I know it's in the making, but will the cone have a visual cue? Yeah, we'll more than likely have a particle that plays as well as a decal that hits the ground, or that is displayed across the ground.
We'll probably also like have more decals that show like the direction in which, not just for this move, but in general, like show you where a move's going to take you. In this case, it'll probably be a growing triangle that'll show like how big this spear, the cone will be, like a UI thing.
Like,
and other moves needs.
Like whenever you do Doomfist's Grand Slam or Ground Slam, there's
I
like
just realized I was responding as well, and I was muted. Damn it. I was seeing probably just add like a wave mesh as well that goes along it.
Yeah, we could also add a little wave mesh that.
Yeah, what we could do actually, since I have the particle, since I have the So if you notice, like, it's not a cone that's actually moving. It's a rectangle that just grows, so it's a triangle. You could just attach a particle to that has some lingering effects. And, like, since it moves, it will carry the particle with it, maybe.
Is your game lagging when that happens, Fizz, or is it just a stream?
It's probably just a
I
stream.
think it's a stream.
My game is not lagging. How's it going, Tailsy?
Just whenever you do that, like, slam, it always lagged. I don't know if it was a game, but I guess it's just processing on stream.
Yep.
Seems like it.
I do wonder. Let me back out and... I'm going to look at my performance bar.
What have you done, Emmanuel?
Nothing seems too out of the ordinary with my performance bar. It's a lot of CPU power. My GPU is being consumed quite a bit though, but that's just because I am streaming. Alright, so, let's see here. Moving on to the next minor big thing with Knuckles is the digging. So, while digging, the O2 meter will now appear. And once it reaches below a certain point, Knuckles will automatically pop back out.
Yeah, eventually we could add in, make it like turn red when it gets close to it, kind of like, the O2 meter doesn't do that at all anymore. I'm not sure how to turn that back on, but...
Wait, it never went red.
I don't remember it going red.
I thought it did. Like, it would turn red when it started getting close.
Nope, I don't remember that ever being a thing.
Never did that. I know how to do that, so I can do it, but it never did that.
I swear, I'm like 80% certain that, like...
No, you know what you're remembering?
What?
When you played as Shadow, it went red. In the original Infinity.
That's right. Whenever you played as Shadow, the O2 meter was red.
No, I don't mean that. I swear, it turned like pinkish red.
No, it didn't. It didn't.
I swear, Emmanuel, it didn't.
It was. Look, it's 2 against 1 here. You've got a Mandela effect going on.
Yeah, okay.
Shadow, it definitely was red when you were playing as Shadow.
I don't know.
So
I know that.
Let's see here. Or make it go red to pollute it in to symbolize you're losing oxygen. Yeah, it will probably, or we could just flash it white, because like if we wanted to bring it back to what original Infinity had, we could change the O2 meter to be whatever color you are. Like if I'm Knuckles or Shadow, it would be red. If I'm Tails, it would be yellow.
Ones if you were Silver.
It could be a different shade of silver. But whenever I mean flashing it white, I mean like drag the opacity up all the way up to white, you know, or not the opacity, the brightness.
Kind of like the enemies and how they flash when you hit them.
Yeah. Like, there are silver enemies, but they still flash white, and you could distinctly tell.
Yeah. We could also probably add particles or sound cues.
I think just having the O2 be blue is fine. And making it change the color to, like, a red. I think that would just be more cohesive.
You're probably right, because, like, it'll probably get a bit weird if it's the color of every character, because you already have like energy bars for a lot of characters and stuff. I don't think everything has to be their color.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see what people prefer.
It's an easy thing either way. It's just that's just my opinion.
Anywho,
the digging also has some momentum going on now, or some small amount of momentum.
Yeah, well, I always had momentum on the ground, although I did lower it just a bit, just so it's not too snappy. But on the walls, it does now too.
So if I let go, it like slows to a stop.
Yeah.
Rather than just immediately stopping.
This was actually a last-minute change I added in, because I realized like how effective it still is to like climb and then start digging. Even though the O2 meter drains relatively quickly, I realized like just giving another incentive to like wanting to climb by making it just like, you know, a bit sluggish in terms of turning could be a cool effect.
Also, whenever you charge up a jump, it drains faster, and if you're in the middle of a jump, it will not currently drain, but it will also not refill.
Yeah. And if you notice, like, if you, yeah, it takes a bit to, like, recharge normally.
Yeah, unlike in water, where if you walk out of water, it'll refill basically instantly.
Yeah, speaking of which.
So... yeah, see how it refills instantly versus if I'm digging. Alright, pop out. It takes a moment to refill. And if you dig while underwater, doesn't it drain a little bit faster?
Yeah. I scaled it so it doesn't drain too quickly, but it's like quite noticeable.
Yeah, it does. It does freaking drain quick.
Yeah, it does drain rather quick whenever you're underwater. But
yeah,
if
because
you
it just
leave the
combines
water,
the two.
it doesn't seem to update whenever you leave the water, though. Is the thing. It still drains pretty quickly. But your O2 meter will not refill just because you left the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, the drain doesn't update, or the drain speed doesn't update when you leave water.
You'll still pop out though, wouldn't you? Like
You'll also pop out underwater.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it like if you were to dig, go into the water, then come back out while still under the ground, and then let the. Oh yeah, because when you're underwater, it'll do the same one. It's just when it gets to a certain percent of the oxygen meter, regardless of where you are, you're gonna pop out. I see how that works.
Yep.
Smart.
That is why the dig does not kill you if you're underwater, or if you're under the ground for too long.
Yeah, that'll be a bit too harsh. Also, if you're charging
almost drown, panic, take a sniff above water, calm.
That was a close one.
Can't dive out of the water.
Yeah, you can. Well, you can't exactly.
Knuckles is now a dolphin.
It's also fun to do that, so.
It's kind of a cool interaction. Technically, you're breaking physics, though, because when you're underwater, gravity's lower for no reason. Well, for a reason, but, like, it means that if you jump out of water, you can jump higher.
Yeah.
In shallowish water like that, Knuckles has got, like, infinite range of that digging. Because the second you get above the water, your oxygen meter refills.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So Knuckles has got, like, a little bit of a tactic.
I think it's because you're not supposed to be refilling air whenever you jump out with a dolphin dive. But if you jump out of the water with the dolphin dive, you still refill air. That's the problem.
Well, no, yeah, that's literally what I said a minute ago. It's because when you leave water, it'll instantly put the oxygen up.
So yeah, only with the dolphin dive, though.
Only with the dolphin dive. I may change that, but I kind of like it how it is, because it's only effective in shallow water.
Yeah, that is true. It is only effective in shallow water.
It makes Knuckles have, like, really good water movement.
Yeah.
In shallow water.
Yeah, in shallow water.
Which not a lot of characters have good water movement, so it's...
I mean, Knuckles can swim as well, so, you know, like, makes sense. Knuckles is pretty good with the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to add...
the water.
We may eventually add in swimming or just some version of treading water for him. But I don't think we should give him full-fledged swimming like in SA2.
I was going to probably do something like that. I was planning on it.
Yeah, we considered the idea of, like, allowing certain characters to tread water. Not, like, obviously, swim. The only characters that should be able to actually swim are flight characters, but...
I mean, the swim that Knuckles would do is just kind of like, he would just go in a straight line. It's just gliding underwater, but you don't lose any height.
He would basically just do a press stroke.
Oh, yeah, doing that would be fine. I'm talking about, like, SA2 swimming.
Yeah, I know.
No.
And SA2, you can properly swim.
Yeah, which makes sense for the game.
Yeah. Is it me, or is Knuckles' hand animation at full... a little stagnant? You mean, like, how his arms don't move at all? I don't know. Emmanuel's the one that literally just changed the running animation.
Yeah, I still have the old one, by the way. So it's not... I still have the FBX of it, so I can re-import it. It's not like... I just want to see how it looked. And we could change it back. I was mostly just like... Because before you say you didn't like how much it swayed, so I just tried getting rid of that. That was my primary goal.
Yeah. Drown? Why would I want to drown?
Do it.
Alright, to move on with Knuckles from the digging. We got the next major thing with Knuckles. Oh. A minor thing that leads into more of a major thing is his charging animation has changed. He no longer holds one arm back. He now, like, gets into a little charge stance like that. I'm kind of indifferent about it. I think it looks nice. I don't know if I prefer it over the old one, so I don't really care which one we end up using at the end of the day. But now to move on to the major changes. If you've been following the Twitter, you've probably seen this already. But at full charge, you can no longer do 3 charge moves at a time or 3 power moves at a time. So even at full charge, if I do a power move, I cannot follow it up with another power move.
Yeah, no more of that. It does charge a bit faster in base mode.
I am going to change this because honestly, it does. I noticed whenever I was recording yesterday, it made actually pulling off combos harder than it needed to be.
Oh, the whole thing?
Yes. Where's that at?
It's near the bottom. It has a eye over it. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. It's in the power parent.
It is?
Yeah.
Why would it be in the power?
I'm trying to migrate the moves to the power parent, and like since this is a power move.
Oh, is the power must hold heavy attack?
Yeah.
Okay. You like the balance? That's good. So one minor thing, what I was actually just changing is currently we have 2 different ways about how power moves work. You can either do it so that you have to be holding the charge button the entire time, or you only have to be holding the charge button during the charge, and then after you actually pull off the move, you can let go. But in doing so, like if I do a lunging punch right there, if I wanted to cancel out of it early, I could just let go of the button. But if I had it on the other mode, I would have to press the button again to cancel out of it. Like in this instance, I have to be holding the button the entire time to be doing the move, but I could also let go of the button at any point in time to do the move. Versus the other one, once you start doing the move, you can let go at any point in time, but if you want to cancel the move, you have to press it again. I personally prefer the holding, just because it's one less thing that my brain has to think about doing. But Emmanuel seems to prefer it the other way, so whichever way people would prefer it is what we'll leave as the default.
We'll probably hopefully add an option for it in the menus. That way you could just change it like without having to go into the, the game and changing it.
How's it going, Rice 720?
750.
750, sorry. Thanks for that follow. So to better show it off, let's see here. If I did this and then I let go, that would cancel out of it, versus if I turned this balloon back off. And then I went back in, did a full charge move here. As soon as I do the punch, I can let go. But if I want to cancel out of the punch, I have to hit the button a second time. Which, to me, feels a lot more clunky. I don't like how that feels. But to Emmanuel, that feels more natural. I don't know why, but it does.
It's because like if I want to cancel a move, I'm used to fighting games where canceling moves is something you have to do deliberately or stuff like that. So it's just like purely like my preference. And me and Fizz were talking about. I was like, I'll just make it an option.
Yeah. Wait, did I change
because I'm sure somebody will not like whichever way it's put in.
Yeah.
Someone's really excited in my room.
So yeah, whichever one people prefer. If you have a preference on stream, or if you end up watching this uploaded onto YouTube, and you just leave it in the comments, whichever one you prefer, whether or not you prefer to hold the button and then let go to cancel it, or if you prefer to let go of the button and then press it again deliberately to cancel it. Which, either way, you have to deliberately do something to cancel it, but, why not just hold shield like in Smash?
Because we're not Sakurai. I'm sorry.
Alright, so, to move on to the next major change in Knuckles. If you look in the top left corner up here, you can see some debug text that says overheat amount and overheating false. Whenever you attack an enemy, that amount will go up. And once that amount reaches to 100... I missed that. We really need to balance these numbers, because basically the best way to get overheat is just to do the second combo over and over again.
Yeah, I made it so that like when you're editing like the actual game itself, you can make so that certain moves, when they're activated, will give you like a certain amount of combo. Otherwise, you just get a certain, like you just get a certain number regardless.
Yeah. Anyway, as I was saying, once you've reached over 100, that will turn to true, and whenever your overheat moment is true, the time it takes to do a charge move is reduced significantly, and you can go back to comboing moves. But you can combo moves longer than 3 times. Like, you're no longer stuck to just 3 combo moves, or power moves.
Yeah, it's pretty much infinite, but each heavy move will also drain focus.
Yep.
Just to balance it out.
Once you are in an overheating state, your amount will begin draining faster. So, wow.
Drilling through enemies will also give you a good amount of overheat also.
Also, whenever you're in the middle of overheating and you dig, your jump will charge extremely fast.
Yeah.
It's not the direction I was facing.
Oof. Rip that guy stuck in the air.
Yeah.
It happens.
So with this overheat mode, it will allow you to more easily and more fluidly move back and forth between your regular punch combos as well as your overheat or your charge moves. How do you know when you're overheating? We're gonna have a separate meter. This is like, if you see numbers on the top left handling things, then that's just temporary debug stuff. That's not the final thing. That's in place temporarily until we can get some UI assets in here to monitor it and track it. Also, we'll probably end up having a particle that plays and emits off of Knuckles or whatever power character you're playing to indicate whenever you're in an overheating state.
Pawns are stuck in a never-ending loop of pain.
Yep. Wait, which pawn?
All of the egg pawns. They are all stuck in a never-ending loop of pain. They all exist to be killed.
I like the way you think.
Boop. So, as you can see, doing pretty much any combo move will get you overheat. And so far, it's mostly based on how many hits you do. We might change it to like how much damage you end up doing. I don't think we'll change it to how many enemies you kill, because that would be kind of defeat the point. But we might change how it scales, because if it scales based on the amount of hits you land, then there are just going to be certain moves that you can easily farm to like get massive amounts of points, overheat points. So we might have to change how it scales. But for now, it just scales off of every time you land a hit.
Yeah. And once again, certain moves will give you more. I mean, so that you can make sure certain moves will give you more overheat.
Yeah. So just with that one move there, I got up to like 40.
Yeah, because I made the uppercut hitbox give you a certain amount. If you drill into them, you
better
can
when
kill
Knuckles
them.
is underground? I don't know.
Good question.
It's not rendering a character anymore, I guess.
Frame rate doesn't seem to change when I have the debug menu up. So
it's just probably the stream.
Yeah. So it's probably not the actual game itself. It's probably my OBS.
It has a thing against Knuckles.
Yep. Which here soon, hopefully we'll get to it before we end up pushing these changes and end up releasing this build. But we have gotten to look into some documentation about optimizing code and tracking what the code is doing in the middle of gameplay for optimization reasons. So here soon, I don't know if it'll be before this update. We might try and get to it before this update. We might do a little bit before we release this update, depending on how much of a process it ends up being. But that is something we're going to be looking into, is using Unreal's optimization tools to track down what is consuming the most resources and optimizing them. Will you add a debug menu kind of like the Dash engine so you can teleport to checkpoints and stuff, even though it would...
Dash engine?
Even though it would be easy to make, probably. I don't know. Maybe. We'll have to see something about that.
I've never considered it. I didn't even know Dash engine had one like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just type in console commands to teleport around.
Yeah.
I mean, I see the point though. Like,
yeah,
some things you do want to automate. I guess we just haven't really had the need to so far, but I can see that rising with bigger levels, especially.
Yeah.
But Fizz can just go into debug cam mode. With that tilde key or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what if you're not like in whatchamacallit? Deep, like you're not playing it from editor.
What's the console command?
Toggle debug cam.
Can you use that to like teleport yourself?
Yeah.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
What the fuck?
You go to toggle debug cam. Yeah, there's a giant arrow there in the center for some reason. Don't question it. And then wherever you look, you just type in teleport, and then it'll teleport the character to wherever you're looking.
Yep.
And then all you gotta do is just toggle debug cam again, and then boom.
That's just an Unreal feature. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's most of all the major changes with Knuckles. I don't think that there were any other major changes. Were there?
Not really. We had like talks about like what we talked about what we're gonna do with the piercing punch and deep impact move. I was about to call it the maximum overheat, burn knuckle, smash, final smash, Sakurai attack.
So we were thinking about replacing the piercing punch with the deep impact. Now we're considering making them two separate moves. I'm not against the idea, but I am also still not against the idea of just replacing the piercing punch in its entirety. So stage is really big enough for it to matter. Could be useful when the full version releases. Yeah, I don't even know how Dash Engine does it. I don't open up Dash Engine and I don't look at its tools, so I don't know how Dash even handles that kind of stuff. If we end up doing something like that, I probably wouldn't look into Dash, but I would look into how other people would probably end up doing it and doing it that way.
Team Sonic 02, hey guys, what I miss? We'll probably just do a quick recap at the very end.
Final Smash is a great name. How's it going today, Team Sonic? So as we were saying, we were thinking about completely removing the piercing punch and replacing it with the deep impact. Now we're considering splitting them up into two separate moves. If I had to choose between the piercing punch and the deep impact, I would choose the deep impact. I would much rather have that move based on how we've designed it on paper. And
I haven't even written anything down. We just thought it.
I know, but we tend to have a pretty good memory about how we go about doing things. So But anyway, we are considering still keeping the piercing punch, so that you can have 2 different moves, one that punches through enemies and one that punches a single target and has a blast radius that can hit other enemies. So we'll have to see how that ends up going.
We can make the piercing punch like maybe faster or relatively fast, cover a larger distance, stuff like that, and maybe give it a property where so it could pierce through like heavy enemies or whatnot. But it was more so just an idea I thought of because we were actually having a hard time thinking of a third heavy move, and I thought, well, we technically have 2 separate ones. One just the other one just being what we're going to replace one with. Why not just keep the old one and have the new one too?
So I'm not against the piercing punch sticking around, but I am against drastically changing the piercing punch too much, because the piercing punch is a move that can end up causing Sonic Hero syndrome, where you do a move and you just launch yourself off the map, or you put yourself in a position you didn't mean to put yourself into. Even though we actually now currently have a way of canceling the move that can be remedied and minimized, but that is something that the player will have to think about consciously whenever they do the move. So if enough people want us to keep the piercing punch and have the deep impact and piercing punch as 2 separate moves, we can do that. I'm not against that. I'm not like out to get rid of the piercing punch, but I'm also like there could probably be better options than what the piercing punch is.
If we think of one, we'll. If we think of one, I wouldn't be opposed to it either. I'm just doing it now because we just couldn't think of a third move at the moment, or at least a viable. We keep getting stuck on actually thinking of what we're actually going to implement.
More than likely, right now, what we're going to do is we are going to keep the piercing punch temporarily, and we're just going to split the deep impact and piercing punch into 2 separate moves. That way, Knuckles can have a full 3 power move set. So that is something we are more than likely going to do as a temporary situation until we can figure out what to do with another third move if we decide to go with a different third move other than the piercing punch.
Knuckles can't breathe. Knuckles overheats like a PS4 running out cyberpunk animations. Knuckles chose Nerf over nothing and Dash into for some reason.
I
didn't know
think
you
Azario
is story.
He's going over up. Like what did he miss?
Yeah, what Team Sonic had missed. What about a move that launches some boulders that you can grab and throw? We have considered a rock throw move. That is something we have actually already considered. A move where Knuckles not launches a rock up, but he'll lift a rock into the air that you can then carry around and throw. Or a rock that you would pick up and immediately throw. It's not a bad idea, but depending on how we do it, it could end up being not good for the flow of combat, because while all the other moves are moves that you can easily cycle between the 3 of them, like you can easily do a Quake followed by a piercing punch followed by a deep impact, or you can mix them all up however you want. A rock throw, not as much unless we do it a certain way, in which case it could make it less fun. Like what's the point of a what's the point of a rock throw if you can't pick up the rock, run around with it, and throw it whenever you want, you know?
Yeah, I did. Now that I think about it, it's not too... Because before, this was when we had a combo system that you always had to do.
Yeah.
If you were just doing one... Especially if you're doing single-target moves without the overheat or focus mode or whatever on, you can just... It's way more feasible because you're not going to combo. But then if you're in overheat mode, how would you combo off of that? And the only thing I could think of is to make so that quickly pressing square or circle or triangle, whatever, just throws it so you can keep your pace up. But, you know, we'll have to... That is a bit finicky.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it functions, because like picking up a rock and throwing it immediately that's not a bad thing to do. That could definitely help with the flow of combat, because you're not stuck with the rock that you have to get rid of now if you end up deciding like, oh, I don't want to throw it right now, you know. Which that can definitely break up the flow of combat. But
I did have an idea for Quake, possibly. Remember the idea Bane had about making rock spires appear for enemies you lock onto?
Yeah.
I thought maybe just make it so that there are actual objects that appear that, you know, he had the idea they can drill into them using your dig move and you can shoot up them. But it maybe if like you just destroy them by punching them, or after a certain amount of time they break and they leave like a rock chunk they could pick up.
That could be interesting.
Just a thought that, you know, so you can still have that functionality, but instead it's like an accessory to Quake. You know, this bitch empty.
My internet is dying.
You should try feeding it.
Have you told her to just not die?
I'll try.
What if the move ended in the air, which can flow into aerial combat? We're not even touching aerial combat at the moment, so probably not.
Yeah, I still have to actually make sure that he can't glide and charge, because you technically can. I completely forgot about that, actually.
Yeah, you can glide and charge.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna make so that like either you can charge in air or go into that mode, but like it doesn't actually start charging until you hit the ground, or you can't even do it unless you touch the ground.
Yeah. We need to rename the charge moves to power moves. We just need to start calling them power moves instead of charge moves, because then that gets kind of confusing. Because you're charging your charge, but are you charging like these are the charge moves? You know. We need to start calling them power moves to like reduce confusion about what they actually are.
Yeah, Tails. We're thinking about it, and we realized that maybe making power characters just more adept at ground combat, but not air combat, could balance them out more. And also, yeah, Knuckles has a glide. It's not like he's defenseless. The glide is a moving hitbox around him.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that, like, you know, you have to get up high to hit enemies.
Bonk. Oh, I missed.
Yeah, he just doesn't have anything like a homing attack, which, you know, it's fine.
Yeah. But speaking of Tails, I don't think there's anything else in Knuckles we need to go over. At least
also,
not
I would
momentarily.
After updating the spline, switching characters using the freaking character swapper Reese put in is actually less buggy. It seems like it still has issues that pop up, but the errors are not nearly as large.
Yeah, because they're not all relating to the spline, who's trying to constantly cast.
Yeah, instead it's like the cheat manager and like some internal things for whatever reason.
Oh, the cheat manager's fine, because that never gets exported with the project.
I guess it's true.
Let's see here.
New update Tails is always has his eyes closed.
Yep.
Yes.
We need a fix.
We updated his mesh and the eyes broke.
Yeah.
But it's an easy fix.
But only for custom animations that we made. Like, only the custom animations that we made are have a broken eye. Like,
all the rest of the animations, yeah, fine.
If he blinks and does random shit, you know, on his own.
Yep.
Tails is just that ballsy. He doesn't need his eyes open for where he's going.
Yeah. He doesn't need to see his Tails. We're probably going to have to look into it more, and I actually mean to talk to you about it, Emmanuel. Tails' classic flight. If you've played the Christmas demo, Tails' flight, his classic flight is probably ass. I don't know if you can... I don't remember if the menus were working and you can change it to classic flight, but
He uses sonar.
His classic flight was terrible. It didn't function properly. It still doesn't really function as intended, but I have fixed it to an extent, and I actually have to talk to you about it, Emmanuel, because it has to do with how the physics changes and works, I think, because I have done almost every test I can think of. Another quick thing about Tails that we fixed is the stamina meter. The stamina meter no longer flies around the screen and follows Tails' forward vector. We don't know why, but somehow the flight meter got parented to the wrong components, which is weird because I don't think any of us has even messed with that. But now it's properly parented to the right spot. So what?
Unless Koenji somehow messed with it and just didn't bother to tell us.
I don't know why he would do that.
Yeah.
All right.
But it's fixed now.
I don't want that. So another major thing about Tails that we've changed is, I don't remember if we showed this off last time, but how it used to work with Tails' bomb throwing is, at first what you used to do is you used to decide what arc you want to do, and then you just press the bomb to throw the bomb, which didn't necessarily work, because if you have different kinds of bombs with different levels of gravity, then your arc would not be properly representative of what the bomb would actually do once you threw it. So we had to change it so that we understood what the bomb's gravity was before we calculated the arc. And then by doing so, what I ended up doing was making it so whenever you press the button, you don't actually calculate an arc until you select what type of bomb you would do, or you want to throw, which you do by pressing Shift or F, or in this case would be like X or Y on a controller. But now how it functions is you can do it in any order you want. You can depict what type of bomb you want to throw. And if I pressed, or like you can dictate the arc that you want to throw the bomb at, and then you can press a button indicating which bomb you want to throw. So if I press Shift, it'll go, okay, I'm going to throw a sticky bomb. And then whenever I let go of the charge button, he throws a sticky bomb. But the nice thing about this is if your bombs have a different gravity, let's say if I hit F to throw a spherical bomb, you can see my arc actually changes to represent the arc of the rolling bomb. Boop. Because the rolling bomb maybe has a higher gravity.
Yeah. Also, we managed to figure out how to change gravity and stuff for these things. And it turns out it's just you do that by turning them to projectiles, and we found out there's like actually a world gravity, which is hard set to not hard set, but set to like negative 950. And you actually have to feed that into the prediction stuff. Stuff that was a pain to figure out.
Yeah, which by the way, we don't know if we had shown this off last time, but the things that launch you that use the predicted path system actually launch you a lot faster now. I don't remember if we went over that last time, but
no, we found it out literally I found this out literally as we were doing the last stream.
Yeah,
because I was curious.
So the springs that use the predicted path system will launch you much faster because it's actually using the proper gravity. It's like, oh, you have this gravity, let me launch you at this rate, you know?
Yeah.
And it also works. The nice thing is it works dynamically for anything that overlaps with it. Like, those bombs do not have the same gravity that the player character has. So those springs will actually dynamically recognize, oh, you have this gravity, you need to be launched at this arc.
Yep.
Nice.
If you want to get to this area, you know? So
Yeah.
if I threw this bomb, you would bounce, bounce, and bounce, except it exploded because it had the sticky bomb and the rolling bomb have different gravities. But the spring recognizes and goes, oh, you have a different gravity, I need to launch you at this velocity instead, you know?
Yeah.
And that can also work for example, enemies. So if we end up having enemies overlapping with springs, the springs will go, oh, you have this kind of gravity, I need to launch you at this velocity in order to get you there, you know?
Bait one of the enemies into that spring that sends you up towards the goal ring. It's like, ah.
That's gonna be annoying to do though with the enemy AI stuff. You have to tell a no to do it and that stuff. But it can be done.
And that works with anything that uses the predictive launch vector. So the dash rings and the dash panels all work with anything that can overlap with a spring, essentially. If they have the interface to interact with the spring, they will launch it.
Quick question: can it work with like regular springs, like things that don't pre-calculate it?
Yep. Boing. The bombs do work with that. I actually had to set it up a certain way to get the oh, that got stuck on the ground.
That makes sense.
To get the momentum spring to work a certain way, I actually had to alter the launch code slightly, but only for the projectiles. Bing. So momentum springs are what they are called, right? Yeah, these are called momentum springs. Boing.
Yeah, they function. I actually got this idea from Shame, because he was talking about how he would rework 3D Sonic and he would make the springs like preserver momentum, you can just run into them. I thought, well, we just make that a type because it wouldn't be hard to code exactly.
I thought we got it from GT, because that's what GT demo has. I could have sworn we got the idea from GT demo.
That's where I remember getting it from.
You're probably
Emmanuel's.
Emmanuel's
Just said how silent you went.
Emmanuel's lying.
I'm actually a agent sent by that YouTuber.
Oh no.
So, yep. I don't think this is the system we're going to end up keeping for Tails. We might alter it slightly because it is a tad bit slow. It's way faster than it used to be. Dear God, Tails' combat used to be insanely fucking slow. Throwing bombs was a painstakingly slow process. Now it is much, much faster. I don't think it's as fast as we would like it to be, so we might alter the system again.
Yeah, and it's also, like, even if we scrap a lot of it, or, God forbid, just can't use it, it's still a very nice, like, testing ground for these ideas, and, like, working with projectiles and predictive systems and stuff like that. Like, I'm pretty sure if we, in spirit at least, or in terms of, like, getting the guts of the code, a lot of it's going to be used. So, Fizz's hard work is definitely going to pay off.
I worked very hard.
Or not. Who knows?
I did work very hard. So, yeah, that's one major thing about Tails that has changed. So, technically, how we have it now also allows for different types of bombs to be used dynamically. You do have to preset some things up in the first place. We can probably show it off here in a little while. But it requires some setup on the developer's side beforehand. But if you set it up properly, it'll work with all different kinds of bombs that you throw. And I'm gonna see how it works with things that don't have regular projectile arcs, kind of like, you know, like Tails' energy shot from Sonic Battle, his little Mega Man blaster thing. We'll have to see how it functions with that, you know. But
give Tails a gun. For his neutral special, Tails wields gun.
We have considered that. We have considered just giving Tails a fucking gun. A Mega Man blaster gun thing, but still kind of technically a gun.
Look, Sonic, it's a clock!
Yeah, I do definitely want to play around with,
my new invention, Sonic. It's a minigun, Sonic.
It's a minigun, Sonic!
I definitely do want to play around with different types of bombs that, like, you can, that don't have, like, the same sorts of arcs, maybe. And also even, like, missiles and stuff that track. I think that.
How about we also give Tails some lamp oil and rope?
But bombs?
Bombs.
Lamp oil?
Another minor change to Tails that we shown off on Twitter is we changed his texture. His coloring. He is no longer piss yellow. He is
I'm sorry,
now
guys.
An orange color. So Tails no longer looks like a piss yellow.
And I'll now shut up.
Highlight the Tails. Okay, be a bit nicer.
Highlighter Tails. He was like a really bright highlighter.
Yeah.
Or piss.
Piss?
Reese is just like, gotta be nice. I'm like, piss.
Gotta keep the stream PG-13.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant PP.
PP Tails. Thanks, Big Basket Tails. Surprise.
I'm sorry, the way you said that, I kind of lost it a bit. So, PP Tails.
PP Tails. It's PP Tails.
God, it's so fucking childish. Let's just move on before people think I'm actually 5.
What you are.
Is Infinity Plus Team 5?
But we can't. Oh wait, but we can't have 16 people who are less than 16 a server. I guess we're all kicked.
God damn it.
We'll kick ourselves from the server.
We like Disney people are like, ah!
I'm dead. Alright, so to move on to the next thing we've added to Tails.
Also 420 rings.
I do have 420 rings.
You are right.
You almost had 69 score as well.
Tails' tail swipe now has a particle. That's the only thing we've changed. That's it. Nothing else.
Only thing.
Yep.
Oh, there's a difference if you tail swipe an enemy.
Yeah, there is actually a little bit of a difference. If you tail swipe an enemy, you actually get popped into the air. And that can actually be comboed with your mid-air tail swipe, because you do have a mid-air tail swipe.
Yeah, I'm not sure we're going to keep it. I just want to, like, I just told Fizz I might add it in, see how it feels. He's like, oh, sure, why not?
Let's check it out.
Revolutionary.
Yeah,
This
aren't we
is
awesome?
the best thing ever about Tails. Is he does
Particles.
So the reason we did that is because we've got the tornado tailspin. Also, if you've seen it on Twitter or the post we made on the Discord, you can see it's gotten a visual update. He's gotten more particle effects going on. He also does like a little animation whenever you press the button again.
Yeah, they're actually inspired by Adventure, because I want to add in the animations you could do while doing the amazing tornado like spin you get with the rhythm badge. I forgot the actual move name. Yep. But every time you press the button, he does like an animation. And you get some nifty particles.
Yep. And if you get all the way to the final one, like the final rotation you can do, it plays a different sound effect. The sound effect is higher pitch, meaning that's the last time you can hit it, and if you hit it again, Tails will get dizzy. And you do not want to get dizzy. So.
Yep. Yeah. If you notice, also, if you're doing a move, we showed us on Twitter, if you do a tornado spin move, you get bounced off enemies. So you can't just plow through them, you kind of just pinball off of them.
Bounce off the enemies.
Yeah. Me and Fizz were talking about like how to balance it. One idea I had was like when doing the whatchamacallit, when we press the button to do a different tail spin, Tails will briefly get a bigger hitbox. Currently he briefly gets a bigger hitbox, and a hitbox actually makes him less affected by enemies being pushed back. So he pinballs off them less when he's in that mode for like a split second.
Yep. So if I hit him with a regular tornado tailspin, I bounce off of them. But if I hit him with the tornado tailspin after hitting them with the wider hitbox, I don't get bounced back as much. I don't think that it'll be this drastic. I think because we don't want Tails to be reliant on melee combat, and reducing how much knockback you get from a tornado tailspin hit helps minimize the usefulness of the move. Because we don't want this to become your de facto move. Like, this is the move you would use against enemies. I'm not super against using it against like 1 health enemies like this. But if you're fighting enemies with health like this one here, or big guys like that, I don't want, the tornado tailspin to be the move that you use against them. So what we could end up doing is maybe if the enemy doesn't have any health, or if they're a single health target and you hit them with the move, you don't really get that much knockback. But if an enemy has health, regardless of whether or not you hit them with the move, or like the properly timed move, you still get knocked back by the same amount. That could be something we could do. I kind of just thought of that.
That could work, although it would make it a bit like, we try to avoid making so that players are actively affected by if enemy is alive or killed by an attack.
Ow.
But that's nothing to do. Also, the move, if you press the button, it pushes you very slightly in that direction you're going, just so that, like, if you mash the button, you can actually get a bit of acceleration, but it's not drastic.
Yep.
Just a bit of incentive to mash it if you want to, but of course you can't do it for as long.
If I remember right, aren't the animations that it plays randomized?
Yes, because I think they were an adventure from the clip I saw of it, but the last animation of you, like, his hands going up in the air. He's like, that's always going to play as the final one because I thought it would be a nice animation to show, oh, you're about to fall over.
He was like, whoa.
So that animation will always play on the last one to like help tell you that, hey, you're about to get dizzy, so stop. The animation that plays regularly, this one here, that's actually from Sonic Advance 3. I had recreated the animation. So the regular tornado tailspin animation is from Advance 3, but the animation that plays whenever you expand the time of the tornado tailspin is an adventure animation. So it's a neat way of like combining the two animations, or the two animation styles.
Yeah, and if you match it like a bit faster, you can make so that you're always doing like the adventure animations and stuff, which I think is like, you know, if you really care about the game, you can pretend you're still playing it.
And if you fall off, it will just cancel itself. I don't know if I actually set up that proper cancel. That might actually mess things up. I'll have to go through the code and make sure I properly.
Oh, what cancel?
Like if you do it in midair. Like currently, how it works is if you're doing a tornado tailspin and you fall off and you try and do it again in midair, Tails will just do a regular midair tailspin.
Yeah, it's not fun because you will. I forgot that I added in like one thing I did add in to what you did, Fizz. Nobody else will notice this. Is that like he will when Tails is done doing his tornado spin, he'll do a quick little spin just in case you're close to the enemy right when it ends.
Yeah.
But it happens at the very end, and like if you stop doing tornado spin and then land on the ground, he'll still do the spin, which is a easy gate we can add in.
So that little spin right there is a like a little safety spin.
Yeah, we could change the animation. I just reuse one for that.
Yeah. We might have it so that that little final hit doesn't actually kill an enemy. Like this. But we'll have to see. All of these damage values, currently all of Tails' tail swipe attack only deals 1 damage. That's currently what it's set to do. So if you're doing a regular tail swipe or if you're doing a tornado tail spin, it'll only do 1 tick of damage. No matter what.
Cool.
So that's currently what Tails' combat is looking at the moment. It's like we're still trying to get the framework patched up and finalized. Trying to get a manual to let go of Knuckles so he can help me finish off Tails.
You're saying that like he's my child, because you're right.
It's not weird at all, but okay.
Nobody understands.
Wow.
I revealed that I'm asking a kid now. Like a human-sized, well, not human, but 3 foot tall echidna.
Emmanuel is secretly an echidna. So to open up the flight parent real quick, let's see here, where are we at? Action graph. Is adventure flight. So if I turn this off and we go back to the classic flight mode, you'll be able to see problems with it at the moment. Fuck them kids. I've kind of partially fixed it. It really doesn't like it whenever you spam the button at the moment. Like if you spam the button, which is something you would probably end up wanting to do whenever you're doing the classic flight, because that's something I always did as a kid, is spam the jump button, even though that doesn't actually help you go any higher, any faster.
You're not the only one, brother.
But that's something you can't really do here, because for some reason, I'm not entirely 100% sure that this is happening, But I think what's happening is whenever you press the jump button, even if you already have the gravity required to lift you into the air, it will flip it back to the previous gravity and scale it down again for some reason. Like, the gravity you get whenever you fly is -3. So it scales to -3. But if you are already at a -3 gravity, whenever you hit the jump button again, it goes back to 1 and scales back down to -3 for some reason. That seems to be the problem I'm running into.
Yeah, I could probably help you look into that. It may be an issue with my thing or just some weird Unreal thing. Or something else entirely.
I've looked over the code for a solid like 3 hours and I couldn't figure out what was causing it. So it's either an Unreal thing or it might be the physics system that we have set up. But hopefully we don't end up having to just completely rework the classic flight, because I would prefer not to do that. The reason the classic flight works the way it does currently is because I wanted to try and mimic the original classic physics as much as possible, and you do that by scaling the gravity in reverse. Which, by the way, I did use interps manual like you suggested, and it seems to make it worse. I haven't gotten rid of the interps because you're scaling gravity. There are frames where your gravity are like, even if it goes to 1 to -3, there is quite a few frames between 1 and -3 that are just, you know, like -1.5, -2, -2.5, on and on. Like, those are things that stack up versus if you just immediately set it to -3. And, like, obviously you could increase the interp speed, but at that point in time, like, why even interp it at all? Just, like, set it.
Yeah, I see your point. We could also try increasing Tails' gravity or decreasing it when he's flying. Oh, well, not gravity, but obviously we're doing that, his mass. Because mass affects how much gravity will affect you, essentially.
Yeah, we'll have to see. But, that's currently the problem with Tails at the moment. But to move on from that, let me slap this back on. Here's the bomb throw code. It's all uniform now. The bomb type code is also all uniform. We have a bomb master. Essentially, this works the same way that the wisps work. Whenever you spawn in and use a wisp, what it does is it checks an enum to see what wisp you're currently using, what wisp you have. It will then spawn an actor based on that, and then from there it will create a reference to the bomb actor and then cast to the bomb master, which is how the wisps work. Because if you cast to the master, even if you're spawning in the child, you can still cast to the master of that child and get all the information you need, as long as the master is what holds that information. And since all of the children have since the master has a function call or an event call that you can call, all the children will have that too. So you'd have to make sure that all of the... Actually, no. You don't have to change this any, I don't believe. But things like the different types of bombs you throw are altered. Let's see here. Character objects, flight objects. So let's open up the bomb test master. We got launch bomb, which is a custom function that fires right here, or custom event that fires here. It handles launching the projectile, and then it fires a custom event called child timer that the children will then pick up and use. Yeah, right here, child timer. And essentially it just tracks the time that you pass in, the detonation time, which is set right here, the detonation timer, which is what you pass into here, detonation timer. So also the gravity scale, this projectile gravity scale, is something you'll have to keep track of because, where's that at? Okay, say special call here. So how it is whenever you press any button, whether that's the shift key, the X key, the F key, or the Y button, you know, it'll check to see if you're in a charging state, if you're charging up a bomb throw. It will then check to see if you've already selected a bomb, and then it'll check, or then if you haven't done that and you are in a charging state, it will then set the current bomb type to, let's say, like bomb rolling. It's now a rolling type bomb. And then you have to set the projectile gravity scale, and you got to make sure that this projectile gravity scale is the same as the gravity scale. Oh, excuse me, the gravity scale in here. Oh wait, no, you don't have to change it all. I forgot, because it actually gets passed in and set. So in the Bomb Master, it sets projectile gravity scale because the projectile movement is a component inside of the master that then gets inherited by all the children. And if you set that in the master, then the children automatically inherit it, unless the children is overriding it somewhere, in which case you got to look after that. But simply changing it here, like what you want the gravity of that type of projectile to be, it will then alter it. So if I open up the action call, you can see this is the sticky bomb. It has a different gravity projectile, or projectile gravity. That's 2.5. This one is 1.75, which is the default gravity for those actors. Sure, no, he says, hour late, but I'm here. What the updates be? What version of Unreal Engine 4 is this? We're using 4.24.3 at the moment.
You changed your thing to look different, which is probably what he's commenting on.
I'm using a theme. Like, all of these nodes look different because I'm using a theme. Which themes are...
Because these are hipster?
Yeah, I like the theme. I don't like default's Unreal theme. Or Unreal's default theme.
Okay. I see how it is. Just because I'm in default theme. Alright.
Yeah.
I'm the same way, honestly. As soon as Fizz pointed out, I'm like, ooh.
So that's why it looks different for you. Is I'm using a different theme, and it just changes how nodes and certain icons and stuff work. Yes, I don't like how the classic or the original theme looks. I wish how you actually change the theme was a little bit more straightforward. Like, you have to go in and alter some of the content stuff in Unreal's project folders. Which, it's not that big of a deal, but you know.
I'm saying gravity a lot. I suck. Newton looking ass. Wow.
Projectile gravities, bomb gravities, Tails is flight gravity, gravity.
Dawn gravity.
Gravity is just mass warping space-time. So yeah, that's most of all the changes we've made. Other than the spline and the alterations to the springs, there hasn't really been any, or not just the springs, but like the projectile calculation code. Other than those two things, we haven't really changed much in terms of stage objects in between the last update and this update, or dev stream. So most of all the changes have been character related changes with Tails and Knuckles. And all of those have also been mainly related to combat. Knuckles can... Here, let me... Since Sharon knew he was late, let me go ahead and swap back to Canuck.
Tougher than leather.
Knuckles has an O2 meter when digging. That pauses whenever you do a jump. And once you reach below a certain O2 level, Knuckles will automatically pop out of the ground. Like so. Oh, come on. There we go. Going underwater will increase the drain rate. Going out of water is supposed to decrease the drain rate again, but it currently doesn't at the moment.
Well, what it does is that when you're in the water, it actually just starts the underwater timer. So in theory, both of them should be working together to drain it even faster. What I may have to do, but it scales down the drain rate for the tunneling, so it won't be too powerful. I may just scale it back up again, so it's more noticeable.
And if you are digging while underwater and the level drops below that certain range, then you'll automatically pop out. Or pop out of the ground, that way you can try and get out of the water. But there's also some minor momentum changes while on the wall. Like if I hold up and then let go, Knuckles slowly comes to a stop rather than immediately just stopping, similar to how he does on the ground. And then we've got the... What the hell are you doing over here?
He's having a good time.
He is, apparently. And then we have Knuckles' Overheat mode, which, whenever you're overheating, you can charge faster. The default charge time hasn't changed any, but whenever you charge up a power move and you do a power move, you can no longer combo it into another power move. What?
I was just scrolling through YouTube and I saw a video called Ori and the Gatling Gun.
Okay.
I'm like,
nice.
oof.
You can also cancel out of power moves by either letting go of the charge button or tapping it again, depending on which setting is turned on. I prefer the let go setting, and Manuel prefers the tap button setting. On the top left, you can see overheating amount and overheating true or false. And as you fight enemies, that overheat amount goes up. Once it reaches above 100, you are in an overheat state. And then whenever you are overheating, your charge will charge much faster. God damn it. I don't know why that's happening. But while doing so, you can once again combo your moves. Like so.
One sec.
Wow. So yeah. That's the main changes to Knuckles. Oh, and there's also the slam cone. So if I turn this on, you can see a cone emits from Knuckles whenever he does a slam, rather than it being a radius. It's now a cone that emits from Knuckles.
Man, that's pretty epic. You just speedran Knuckles in like 2 minutes. How do you feel?
I feel like firing a manual. That's how I feel.
Yes, that's pretty righteous, dude.
Bye-bye. The projectile calculation code has been updated to dynamically take the overlapping actor's gravity into account, which also allows it to launch much faster. Boing, boing, boing.
It's much faster now.
What happens when there's an enemy in the cone when it changes shapes? The cone doesn't really change shapes. It just grows.
It's technically not a cone. It's just a rectangle that grows and moves, so it simulates a triangle in shape.
Yeah.
I simulate a cone by moving and growing it. It's not actually a cone. It's just math.
Yeah.
There is no triangle. Go home.
There is no triangle. So, yep, and then the main changes to Tails are the fact that you can, you have to manually decide which bomb you want to throw, which you can do at any point in time. You can also alter the arc at any point in time. So if I am holding the button and I press shift, it has selected a bomb. Then whenever I let go, it will throw that bomb. This also means that if I select a bomb that has different gravity, the arc will change dynamically based on the bomb that I had chosen. So let's say, for example, I did that. Those bombs have their own unique gravity. So the springs took that into account and then launched it based on that gravity. The only other change we did to tails was the tornado tail spin. Hitting an enemy with it will bounce you back. If you hit an enemy with it while pressing it again to re-up the tornado tail time, or the tornado spin time, you'll get less knockback. So if I hit it normally, versus if I hit it while re-upping my time, I'll get less knockback. And if I press the button all the way up to the very final time that I can do it, it'll play a different sound. To indicate that that's the last one I can do. And if you try and do it beyond that, you'll get tired. Do bombs blow up on fire or lightning, and do they defuse on ice? No, they don't. They don't have any real interaction currently with other objects. It wouldn't be too difficult to do, but that would just mean that these here would have to probably cast to the bombs and recognize, oh, this is a bomb, and what type am I? Oh, I'm a fire type, or I'm an electric type. All right, we'll go ahead and play the detonation sequence now, you know.
That wouldn't be necessary. I added that new element typed in hitboxes, and if we change the fires stuff to use hitboxes, the bomb and stuff can just say, hey, I got hit by a hitbox. What type? Oh, fire type? Well, guess I'm exploding. See ya.
So, yeah, well, currently the bombs aren't looking for any hitboxes. They're not doing anything at the moment. We would still have to alter it, but...
Yeah. I'm saying a cast probably wouldn't be involved in.
So, yep, those are the main major changes.
We have altered the code. Pray we do not alter it any further.
Also, every time you re-up your tornado tailspin, Tails will play a different animation from the adventure games. Or Adventure 1. His regular tornado tailspin is Advanced 3 tornado tailspin. But the renewed tornado tailspin attack is a randomized adventure tailspin animation. We won't tell you what it is, but there's actually a secret with these animations.
Pray we do not change it and make it a secret anymore.
Emmanuel decided to animate secrets into these animations. We're not going to show you or tell you what it is, so you'll have to look at them yourself.
I guess he says Crash Bandicoot wannabe, but technically, no. Yeah, Sonic Adventure came out.
When did Crash?
Sonic Adventure came out. Crash Bandicoot came out before Sonic Adventure, so he's technically right.
Whoa! Whoa!
Okay, so I added in this massive. Wait, first I need a Scooby snack, and then I'll tell you.
We need the Scooby snack first.
Yeah. Payment up front. That's how we're going to take donations for. It's like people have problem with donations for like fan games, but if you pay some Scooby snacks, that's perfectly fine.
Scooby snacks, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Pay us some Scooby snacks.
Why isn't that like a legitimate form of currency? Scooby snack. I mean, come on.
I don't know why, but for a second when you started saying why, I thought something broke and you're about to yell at me.
Emmanuel, why isn't Scooby Snack a legitimate form of currency?
Right. Fix it now, Emmanuel. Go to the Royal Mint and print Scooby Snack.
We need Scooby Snacks.
Sorry, your questions killed me.
At least that's where currency comes from here.
Are the splines still broken for wisps? Or did you fix that?
They shouldn't be. They should still work.
You mean still work? They didn't work. They stopped working. Also, what?
I mean, like, nobody else would know, but yeah, they work now. They work now.
Okay.
I fixed them.
What was that then? That was weird.
Oh.
Canceling my flight for some reason does that.
Oh, I'm not sure what that is. It maybe the hitbox for the spline isn't large enough. Also, tunneling lets Knuckles also breaks it because Knuckles gets rid of his collision, and then the box says, "Oh, Knuckles isn't here anymore. I guess he no longer needs the spline," which I have to find a way around.
The Federal Reserve is mine. We need Scooby Snacks as a form of currency. Alright, so that's pretty much all we've really gone over. I don't think there was any other differences or things that we've changed. I think we've gone over all of it. I don't think there's any changes. I've not made any Wisp changes. I can't think of any other Tails changes besides his flight code still being hacked.
Oh, yes.
I can't think of anything, can you?
I can.
No.
I just know that. I mean, we have things we want to do, but nothing we have done so far.
Sink the rings. That just has to do with how they spawn in.
Swim through all the rings?
I don't know why those 10 rings sync differently. Are the 10 rings animating? Or are they on a timer?
They could be on a timer.
We'll have to look at the 10 rings. That might be the reason why the 10 rings aren't. But these rings are animating. They used to work on an interp, and they would be manually rotated, which is horrendous. But they now animate.
Animated.
Animated! Same thing with the gold ring. The gold ring also...
It is an animation now.
Yep, it's an animation. No gold ring.
Is that practically it, though? I don't think there's much else for us to discuss or show.
I don't think so. Well, also the thing that the AI enemies also now die and respawn. That's the other thing.
Oh.
Yeah, the new AI that we're just going to replace the old AI with. Pay no mind to them.
I'll have to look at the 10 rings. I think the 10 rings are just the regular rings scaled up, so we might be able to just make it so that they...
I think they are.
They were synced, but now they're not synced, so that makes me think that they are not working.
It's something to do when they're like not on screen or something.
The rings aren't animated either. Well, okay, they're not synced either, so I think it does have something to do with that. I think they both have the same problem.
Yeah, it has to do with them not being on screen, I think. Because if I unload them and I load them back in, they're all synced perfectly just fine. But if I look away, go and fuck something up. No? They're all fine.
Good, dude. He did nothing to you, but you had to just go and ruin his day by ending it.
I did have to do that. Why
Your
are they
free
desynced?
trial of life has ended.
I can't get them to desync. That's weird.
Just have to pay more attention to it later.
Yep, we'll have to look at that.
Later.
How the fuck? Oh, no, you're one of the other dudes. Pop.
You're one of the other dudes.
I thought he was one of the ones down there. I'm like, how the fuck did you get out? See, now they're desynced. I'm confused. I don't get it. We'll have to look into it, though. Oh, look at all these spline path errors, Emmanuel. So many delicious spline.
I wonder who could have made those errors happen.
I wonder who was it worked on the spline path.
It's okay.
Whoever it is.
You know what? I'll just take out the spline pass.
Whoever it is, they need a raise.
Bombs.
We'll give them free Scooby Snap.
God damn it.
Bombs.
It's okay. Morshu's dying. He'll be gone soon.
Oh no.
You can't kill Morshu. Morshu's immortal. He is Immortal.
Death? You want it? It's yours, my pal.
Death? You want it? It's yours, my friend. So yeah, I think that's about it. We've covered everything. We've got about 30 minutes before we hit the 2-hour mark, so if anyone has questions, concerns, or comments, or they want to berate Emmanuel, you can take your turn.
You know what? With that, I'm gonna take a small break, actually. And just go cry for 5 minutes.
We're gonna add Gizoids.
Actually, Gizoids would be cool.
Add the Gizoid. That's still funny to me.
Oh my God. Gizoid.
Yeah.
I saw the clip and it's still like he just rarely says Gizoid. I'm like, okay.
Reese legitimately just went
up and said
Gizoid.
I was trying to say something else, and then my brain went to two places at once.
You were trying to say Gizoid and Gemeral at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know how that made.
Could be worse. You could have said Jazzoid.
Thanos beatbox intensifies. I don't know, which doesn't even make sense because the character in game is Emerald, not Gemeral. So.
I was thinking of Gemeral because that's the name that stuck out to me the most because I've read the name Gemeral. Yeah, I've read the name Gemeral more than Emerald recently. But I was thinking of that. It was 2 a.m, and then when I was trying to explain like what I was thinking was happening in the story, my brain's like, "Oh, you're gonna say this word? Nope, you're gonna say this word at the same time and merge them together."
Gizoid.
Emu. What?
That's how you make more Gizoids.
Oh, God, Emmanuel, you took it there.
Wait, it literally has the word jizz on it. Like, come on. I said jizz on it, didn't I?
I see. I can't say piss tails, but Emmanuel can say
I know,
Gizoid and get away with it.
We've got to ban him. We've got to ban him from Twitch.
Well, it depends on what your definition of the word jizz is.
What other definition is there?
I don't know. Ask Bill Clinton. That's where the reference is from.
Emmanuel, look at the chat.
Emu. Emmanuel. Thanos beatboxes intensifies.
It's Emmanuel.
Stop beatboxing. Hey, can you stop beatboxing? My dad's dying.
No, Emmanuel. You are now Emmanuel.
I thought it was what was it, like Dream? That one guy from Bane's Discord kept saying I sound like Dream.
Cyber.
And he renamed his name to Emmanuel equals Dream. Even though I never watched any of his content. I actually don't know what that fucker sounds like.
I don't know what Dream sounds like either.
It sounds like you, apparently.
I think I have heard Dream before, but
you weren't paying attention,
I wasn't paying attention. Usually any time I hear Dream talk, it's whenever he's like in a call with other people, so I have a hard time distinguishing who's talking. So,
makes sense.
I only watch one Minecrafter.
Captain Sparkles.
Yes.
Sparkle, sparkle.
Sparkle, sparkle.
Sparkle,
fuck yeah, Sparkle, sparkle.
All right, I'll be back in a few minutes.
Oh.
Your dad's gonna beat and. right, so anybody got questions, concerns, any comments? Would you like us to get rid of the piercing punch, or should we keep a hold of the piercing punch? Because that was another thing we talked about, Chirinui, was Knuckles' piercing punch. We have considered... We think for a fact we're going to add the deep impact move in, but we're trying to decide whether or not we want to replace the piercing punch with deep impact, or if what we're going to do is we're just going to keep piercing punch as a separate move. We're probably going to keep piercing punch as a separate move for now. And if we can think of a different move to use, then we will replace it, but I think you should keep it, make it optional. We'll more than likely not get rid of the code. We'll more than likely keep the code. If we do end up coming up with a different move besides the piercing punch to use, we're more than likely not going to get rid of the piercing punch code. It'll still be in there. You'll just be able to have to plug it in, is all, more than likely. So
I have a question.
Yes.
What is 42?
The answer to the universe and everything.
Okay.
24.
24.
I'm actually gonna grab a drink real quick because I've had not much to drink this whole time. So give me one.
Oh, so you're just gonna leave me here? All right.
Yep. It is now Reese's stream. Reese has this now.
All right, everyone. We're adding Gizoids. The frick was that? That apparently was the sound of Gizoids being programmed into the engine, according to Fizz. And there he goes. He's just slammed the desk. He's got the keyboard slammed down, and he's busy coding it in the other room. Nope, he's back already. He's already coded them.
Sorry, I punched my AC unit. That's what that sound was.
Ah, I thought you were punching a Gizoid into the engine. I kept them entertained.
When is that Reese face reveal? I actually know what Reese's face looks like.
Where's the Reese face reveal?
There already was a Reese face reveal, but I'm not gonna say it.
You're not gonna say it.
No, that's your shtick. That's your deal.
It is. Oh goodness.
If you want to know what Reese looks like, just think.
No. Don't you say it. Don't you frickin' say it. I do not look like him.
You do look like him.
The hair at one point, maybe, but I just don't see it.
You got the same, facial bone structure. You do have different facial hair than he does. I will give you that. You have different facial hair than he does, but... Just
gonna make me cry, man. I do not look like him. I do not. Everywhere I go, I'm reminded of him. Everywhere I go, I see his face.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how British does he look? T.
Tea. My face is just a cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
I look like Chip from Beauty and the Beast. There you go. So I guess there's no more questions, eh? All right,
no comments. No.
We're expecting a full essay by next stream, written out.
There will be a quiz on all of this stuff. I hope
There will be a quiz.
Just at the end when we release the final version of the project files, you just be like, all right, I hope you've been paying attention to all of the dev streams. There's going to be a quiz.
There's going to be a quiz, and if you get it all right, then you get access to the projects.
Bad dental hygiene, British. Oof. You actually have good dental hygiene.
Bad. I have one chipped tooth, but besides that, everything else is fine.
I have much better dental hygiene. I've actually been taking a lot better care of my teeth than I used to, but my teeth look like shit. But that's not because of how I've been taking care of them. I actually had extra teeth grow in whenever I was younger,
Yeah.
and they pushed my teeth out of alignment. So my teeth look like shit, not because of how I took care of them, but because of things out of my control. I just had
Just
extra
how they
teeth growing.
grew.
Yeah, that's just how they grew.
I had my back teeth removed, so my wisdom tooth came through no problem.
You had your molars removed?
Yeah, I don't remember why. I think there was a problem with them when I was super young, so they had to be removed. But they've been replaced by the wisdom teeth now, so I've still got a full set of teeth.
Yeah.
Wisdom teeth. That's not a good idea.
When is the SA2? SA?
You mean it's not a good idea?
I have Fizz is British confirmed. Yeah, I actually could be. I could be confused for British. Apparently, we didn't know this for the longest time, but a couple of years ago, my family and I were looking through a whole bunch of old home videos, and I used to, as a toddler, talk with a British accent.
I think you remember telling me this.
Anytime I would go to my mom and dad, I wouldn't go mom or like dada or something. I'd be like mum, mummy, dad,
Mum.
mummy, mum. Can I get some milk, mum? I used to talk with a British accent as a kid. For the longest time, we didn't know why, but then we realized it's because I watched Wallace and Gromit as a kid.
Oh yes, there we go.
Mum, mummy.
I mean, that would do it.
Mother,
Mother.
I require subsistence. Fizz, I have secretly converted to being British over the year and a half I've known him, or how long it's been now.
I am secretly British. Time for Fizz to go on an arc to find his lost lineage and ancestry.
We're entering the British arc.
I actually do. I have Scottish ancestry, so.
Oh, there you go. That's how you roll your R's, you fucker.
Yeah, that is actually how I roll my R's. My mom's side is actually English. My mom's side does come from England. My dad's side comes from Scotland.
Huzzah! Man of quality.
I think there's also Native American mixed in there as well, but I don't actually know. I think that's something my mom had mentioned, but I might be getting that mixed up.
I'm just pure British. I'm not sure if I've ever had any relatives in any other country at any point. I'm pretty sure it's just been non-stop British.
Just non-stop British.
Just non-stop.
Non-stop British.
All British. Nothing but tea.
24 hours a day. Non-stop British television.
Crumpet action all night long.
God, these Pornhub ads are getting really weird.
Oh my god. There's the British version of it where it's just really like polite and just, you know.
No, that's Canadian. What are you
talking about? Very proper.
It's very posh.
It's very posh.
Mom, what are you doing? No, stepbrother, what are you doing in there?
Mine's the stepbrother. What are you doing?
What is thou doing?
Put that number away before I don't know.
Yeah, all right, that's enough.
You're going a bit too far, Emmanuel.
That's enough. No more of that.
Emmanuel went too far.
I just said member.
Dark zone.
I'm talking about his membership.
His membership at the library is what it is.
Yeah.
He's got to return his library card.
Yeah.
Fish and chips. Ah, yes. How you get some fish and chips?
Oi, fish and chips, never disrespect them. They are a delicacy. You just get a fish out the ocean and a potato, mash them together, boom, meal.
The only substances Reese eats are tea and pudding. You did actually make pudding once. One time we were in call, you were home alone, and you just pulled out your camera and just started making pudding in call.
Yeah, I was
there
bored,
too.
so I'm like, welcome to my cooking live stream. Today we're making rice pudding.
You made rice pudding.
Okay. Step 1, open tin. Step 2, step 3, cooked.
Step 4, add a gun!
No, it would be a knife.
Add a knife. In the US, you add a gun.
Just drop a knife.
We need 2 pounds of gun.
When you're eating, it's a surprise. You've got to avoid the surprise.
All right, so it sounds like America. Hello, stranger. Want some chocolate? No.
Do you want knife flavored chocolate? I mean, I have seen somebody make a knife out of chocolate.
Yeah, there's that channel that literally makes knives out of anything.
Yeah.
I still like the bismuth knife the most. That is a cool.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, you just have to, harden it.
You just gotta make it dense.
In the U.S., we used to have proper foods. We have burger, lobsters, and... All right.
We used to have. Well, no, we have proper.
Now we've got McDonald's and McDonald's.
McDonald's, Wendy's, and Zaxby's.
And your guys' McDonald's are humongous compared to ours.
What? Are you talking about the actual restaurant or the food?
No, the food.
No, the McDonald's food is small.
I could swear it's bigger in America than here.
No, it's
because
really tiny.
We had a thing where we had American dishes brought over to McDonald's here for a while, and the burgers were bigger.
Let's see. That might have just been an advertisement ploy thing. To everything in America is bigger,
Everything in America is like 5 times bigger. I mean, we were discussing pizza the other day where I'm like, oh, I had an entire pizza to myself. And then I realized, wait, the proportion sizes here are much smaller than America. So to you guys, it sounded like I freaking just devoured an entire pizza. When
it's also like it's more so Western versus Eastern thing now at this point too. Like portion sizes are larger and more like Western countries.
It's what you guys call a personal pizza, wasn't it? I had an entire personal pizza.
Oh, like a personal pie.
It was, yeah.
You had was it a 12-inch pizza?
Yeah.
Yeah, a 12-inch pizza to us is like a personal pizza.
Yeah.
You could share it with like one other person, but most of the time they're like personal pizzas.
And then I remember seeing your guys like proportion sizes that you can get, and I'm like, damn, it can go big if it really needs to. Like, obviously it's like sharing with multiple people, but like, damn, you can go fucking huge.
Will there be any more work pertaining to grind rails? I'm not sure. There is a couple of things that actually we are thinking about doing with grind rails, courtesy of Mr. Bain. Mr. Bain had shown off some ideas on the Momentum project. Involving...
Are you talking about hanging off of them?
Yeah, like hanging off of rails and stuff. Like being able to manually slow down and hang off rails and swing off of them like their swing pole, which is actually a very interesting and unique idea. A good way of like combining those two assets into one. We might mess around with that. Max and Adams have released their final version of their vanilla Infinity build. That involves swing poles. I might see how they did the swing poles and port it over, because they said that we were more than welcome to port their code over. I will more than likely alter it, like heavily change it.
Code.
I didn't actually know they released a final version. I heard people talking about that. They were just talking about the old version,
No, they released one last update, which they meant to release a long time ago, but they're like, I don't know why it took so long to release this, but here it is. And it's not complete. They didn't finish it, they didn't complete it, and they said that. They're like, this is not a complete final version, but they're not wanting to work on it anymore, so.
So it's just us.
Yep, we're the only ones working on any version of Infinity now.
From what we know, at least.
Yeah, there might be someone else working on it. I know people have joked about starting another Infinity branch, which I'm not against. If you want to do that, whatever. Just know that it's going to cause even more confusion. Because people already get confused between Vanilla Infinity, Max and Adams Infinity, and Infinity Plus, so.
Anywho.
Yep. If we do alter the rails, that's what we would more than likely do, Shiranui. The rails actually currently right now, how we have them, are actually in a really good state. They function almost entirely as we need them to. We'll probably have to make some tweaks and adjustments here and there.
It's really the camera. We still have to change the cameras possibly to a spline camera for them.
What about rail splitting and forking? That's not really been a thing. I think the only games that have rail splitting is Heroes. Heroes is the only game I can think of that has rail splitting.
I don't think they do, actually.
When?
In Rail Canyon, you hit those things and the rails fork. They split and fork to different paths. Remember, you hit the things and the rails change colors.
Oh, you mean like rail? Okay, you mean like switches that change the rail. I thought you meant like rails that split into multiple other rails and like you go on to one.
It's technically forking, but like it's a rail fork in the road that you can. It is technically a switch. It's because like you hit something and it switches, kind of like a rail or like a train track. You hit a switch and it shifts.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
That's technically what it is.
How good are the rails with like when we line them up back to back? Do they work fine?
I don't know. I've not really tested that since we've altered the rails recently.
That's a good question.
Because if that still works fine, then there's a super easy way we can do it.
Yeah, if that does function fine, there is a way that we could do it. You would simply just have to have some kind of switch that sets a rail as active or inactive. And a rail that is inactive can't be overlapped with, so therefore you would just continue on with the active rail. So that would actually be insanely easy to do, but that's only if that functions as intended, which on my computer it might work fine because I have a high frame rate, but...
Rail springs. We also have rail, like, dash things to put on the rails as well at some point.
Yeah, at some point.
Rail dash panels we gotta add.
There are a ton of like level objects that can be added, but I think we're going to more so try to focus on them after this update.
Yeah, the next update... The update after this one, after Colorful Combat, will contain Whisper, probably some more updates to Silver. I don't know if we're going to get Silver done by the time we're ready to release this.
I wouldn't mind working on some more, but maybe not finished.
It's mainly just the next update is adding all of the stuff we need to add last. Just finishing off adding all the stuff, and then there'll probably be one more after that, which is any possible big bug problems we have.
Yeah. The next update will contain a lot more stage objects. Unless I can get the swing poles ported in pretty easily, I don't know if I'm going to do that. I might hold off because it's not really all that important. Swing poles will probably come in the next one. The pulleys will also come in the next one because I actually got pulleys in their version of Infinity as well.
Rockets maybe, for Adventure.
Yeah,
That's in Max and Adam's version as well.
Yep, they got that. I would assume that it's probably not all fleshed out and stuff. A couple more object interaction related things. Probably more Wisp objects too. We'll get a lot more Wisp objects that we want to get done and implemented.
Yeah, we have planned, but we'll probably leave them for next update now.
And then Whisper, finishing touches in Silver. And then, other than those two things, the final character alterations and the additional stage objects, the third thing we'll be working on in the next update is optimization, cleaning up a lot of code, doing a lot of optimization,
documentation possibly. We still need a secretary.
Organization. Yeah, that's actually something. I'm actually probably going to open that up. I might do it later today. We are opening up a position on the team for essentially a secretary. You're not going to be like handling contacts or anything like that. It's not really a secretary. It's more of an archivist. You'll be going in and documenting all of the code essentially. Are you going to add stuff to Ivory Wisp? I find a little underwhelming. Yeah, more than likely. I don't think. I don't think we're going to consider Ivory Wisp how it is right now finished. I think we're still going to do some changes to it before we release this update.
It's not exactly done.
Ivory's like the one Wisp that's like the least finished out of them all.
Yeah, that's the one Wisp that we're not quite, done with.
Oh, I forgot. Did we ever show off the change I made to Pink Spike where it could go like over?
Oh, I don't think we
did.
That was a good one.
I did that I think I did that before the last update or the last dev stream. I think we just completely forgot about it.
Yeah, I think we did. So, Pink Spike is Make an original Wispy card. I wouldn't be against that. If people want an original Wisp, we could probably design one. Pink Spike is a tad bit more optimized now, if I remember right. You saying that you changed how some of its climbing code works.
Yeah, a bit more. Just so it possibly run on lower machines.
Yeah. So as usual, Pink Spike can climb around the inside of a curve, but Pink Spike could also now climb around the outside of a curve. Like so.
Yeah.
Rather than just fly off.
It's also really exciting if you like spin dash over them.
Yep.
It works just like it did in colors now.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think in some areas it doesn't like to work, but it's pretty consistent, especially for a fan game.
Oh yeah, no, it looks really consistent. There could still possibly be problems with like lower frame rates and stuff like that, but
I try to prevent that by simply making it. Yeah, what I did is just explain the map briefly. I make so that it gets to the last point you were on when you're on solid ground, and then it says, "Oh, I'm not on solid ground. Let me do a trace all the way from here to where I was on solid ground. See, there's like a corner I can grab onto." So even if like you have large frame gaps, it will still try to get the last point you were on the ground, which should possibly give you in theory, that gives you a point, but that could still mess up.
That Wisp lasts long. No, I was refilling it actually.
We've got debug.
Yeah, I got a debug that if I just gotta hit a button and it refills its energy. So it doesn't last long. I was just cheating.
I still think Hover so far is my favorite looking one.
Hover looks pretty good.
Because it's got the particles.
I don't know, man. Frenzy looks pretty nice to me.
That's Spike. Oh yeah, Frenzy looks pretty good. Yeah, I think Spike looks pretty good. I think the changes Emmanuel did to its particles look really good.
To the particles? I didn't change the particles on Spike. Oh, you're talking about like Frenzy. Okay.
Flight with.
You're talking about Eagle.
Yeah, Eagle.
Eagle's one we got to change yet. This is one that we're gonna like alter quite heavily.
Yeah, we're planning on, if anybody's played Halo, I believe we're planning on this at least, to make it control like the Banshee from Halo.
Yeah. Kind of. My original idea was to make it control like Diva from Overwatch, but that's not too much different.
I could also, once I'm more done with Knuckles, I'll probably try to grab that code I made from Metal Sonic on the other project and like port it in for Tails and also see if you even want it for
Frenzy is uncontrollable. I mean, isn't that the idea?
Yeah.
Yeah, Frenzy is very uncontrollable.
Does every Wisp interact with every object, or are there certain restrictions on certain Wisps, like what happens if Cyan Laser or Pink Spikes uses a spring?
We don't have them currently. The one thing that we haven't done yet, and that's actually something I can probably do here soon, is the Wisps currently don't interact with pre-calculated stuff properly. Like certain Wisps can interact with certain objects. So for example, if I went with I think Burst Wisp can overlap with springs and stuff. Yeah. However, if I did this with Burst Wisp, yeah, it'll freak out. So certain Wisps can interact with certain level objects. They don't, like I said, they don't work properly with the oh, goddammit. The pre-calculated ones. But they do interact with other level objects. And how it's handled inside of the Wisp parent is it will check whenever you overlap with something. Here we go. It'll pass the object type as a variable into the children, and the children will check to see if it is allowed to do any of that stuff. Like, is object detransform, is object remove? So let's see here. If I opened up, let's open up Cyan Laser. It passed the event here is overridden in the child, and the child will change what it can do depending on what it is that it overlaps with. So spring, dash panels, dash ramps, dash rings, and balloons. It will then figure out what to do from there. So like in this instance, Cyan Laser is told to not interact with any of these. Like it won't detransform, but it also won't interact with the object and won't remove the wisp if you overlap with it. So you can also say, hey, if I overlap with this and I cancel the wisp, do I also want to remove the wisp? Like, does this wisp get removed when it overlaps with an object? And that can be handled in the wisp, but it is also overridden in the object itself. So let's see here. Okay, so this spring wisp right here, or this spring right here, if I got red burst here and I interact with this spring, I would be fine. However, if I interact with this spring, it removes the wisp from my inventory because the spring overrides it and says, hey, I'm supposed to remove your wisp. So if you have like a sequenced spring, they can remove your wisp and detransform you. But if I went with Cyan Laser, I don't think Cyan Laser... I think Cyan Laser just pierces right through them. I don't remember what I had Cyan Laser do.
Laser!
Yeah, Cyan Laser just bounces right off of them. If you don't have anything set as an interaction, like with Cyan Laser here, like if you don't have anything on, the wisp will just pass right through it or bounce off of it in some way. So I hope that answers your question. It shouldn't be too difficult to get the calculated vector or calculated velocity thing set up for the wisps.
Not for all of them. Like I think Quake may have some issues, and like Laser, for instance, will probably like the wisp that it would make sense to work on.
Yeah, like well, for example, because Cyan Laser isn't supposed to interact with it at all. Cyan Laser will just simply pass through it, and it won't affect Cyan Laser whatsoever.
Yeah.
Which I think how it works is if the override is on, you'll still detransform. Like, even if the wisp isn't told to interact with it, it'll still detransform if the object overrides it. So if I try to overlap with this spring, yeah. So Cyan Laser normally would just, like, if you have a pre-calculated spring that's supposed to send you off into a sequence, and Cyan Laser overlaps with it, Cyan Laser will go, oh, this is a spring, I don't overlap with it at all, I don't do anything, I just pass right through it. Unless the spring says, hey, I'm overriding you, in which case you will detransform from Laser and then launch based on that. Does Cyan Laser have a timer on it before it launches you? Yes, it does.
Also, there's another thing that Zero said about swapping characters like in Heroes. We do already have a character swapper in, but it's still a little broken.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I mean, it can still be reworked into an actual feature.
Oh, definitely. I'm just saying, like, the purpose of it for now is debugging, but it can be expanded.
Yeah, and we're not planning on doing character combos. That's not something we're planning on.
Yeah. Reese was working on like teams, like but like not combos.
Like a Sonic Advance 3 team combo kind of thing, where like you can combo with your partner or whatever.
Yeah, we're not planning on that.
Probably not going to do that. That would be a very interesting expansion, but that would take a lot of work.
Yep. Unless you just made so that every character just had a support ability that gave a character you trust a button to do it. That way, instead of having to make it every possible combination, just different characters gave you different abilities. But that will only work with one other character. With two other characters, that would be more complicated.
Would be cool if Tails could throw a bomb into the air, go laser and bounce off of the bomb through. That is like some advanced tactic right there.
I do like that idea.
I do think that's possible. Like if I were to... See, if I got...
Depends on how the collisions are set up.
Yeah, I don't know if the collisions are set up for that, but that shouldn't be too difficult to do. I don't know why you would want to do that, but you can. So if I charged up a bomb, let's throw it like really high just to give it some time. Oh, that's right. you can't transform into, or at least not for that one. Let me try this instead.
We're running on the same button.
I don't think tails can in general.
No. The Y button currently, if you have these bombs...
Oh, that was almost perfect.
If you have these bombs, the Y button, or the transform button, is the detonate button. It becomes the detonate button, so... I might alter the button, I might change it to something else, but currently it's the Y key. So it overrides any wisp that you might be transformed into.
We could probably make crouch the detonate button, maybe.
We'll see.
Yeah. We still haven't finalized the bombs. Like, these are tests to, like, test the concept. They're not like, oh, Tails is going to have a remote bomb. Like, he may have one, but these are not their final designs.
Yeah.
Oof, damn. Holy shit. Sorry, man, you heckin' died.
I think it's because I entered into the loading zone and the frame rate fucked me. That's my guess.
I don't see the need for that loading zone for just those objects, honestly, but I guess it's just for testing.
It's for... because that's like a lot of objects you have all in one spot. If you leave the area, it's no longer loaded.
Yeah, I set it up that way. And it also was... Yeah, and it was also just for, like, showing streaming volumes as well. But I guess that's all we have to show for the stream. Nothing much else now. On overtime.
No wisp zone, no wisp zone. That is a thing. We already have no wisp zones.
No more wisps. No more wisps.
I don't think we have one in this map.
We do.
Oh, we do? Like...
It's in the wisp room.
A zone where you cannot activate your wisp?
Mm-hmm.
I know we have
It's around the corner where you've got all the wisps lined up.
Damn it.
Yeah, I remember now.
Yeah, you've went past it.
What the heck? Oh yeah, the camera thing.
Yeah, that camera thing is messed up.
Yeah, when you go in next to where you have all the wisps lined up, there's a wall. It's on the other side of the wall. That area there, yeah.
That's a no wisp zone?
Blank. Yeah, there's no wisp zone in there. It's not rendering for some reason. Or did I...
It's not there. I knew for a fact it wasn't there. I knew it.
I remember what happened now. I did put one there, but
oh, that removes your wisp.
The push never went through.
There is a no wisp zone here, but this one straight up removes your wisp. We've got two different wisp zones. One's that simply disable your wisp, and one that also removes it. God damn it. I don't know why that's happening.
Oh yeah, and Fizz is also working on like that one laser object from Sonic Colors, where if you hit it, you like travel through it.
That's what you were saying on the wall. I was working on that last.
It technically works.
Yeah, it does work. It just visually doesn't.
Oh yeah, visually it doesn't yet.
Like if I overlap with that end, I will come out on that end as cyan laser. It just doesn't visually work. And it also has a two-way system. So, as you can see, this one is not lit up, but that side is. That's because it's a one-way system. This one here, both sides are lit up, so if I untick two-way, one of them on lights, because that's the exit, you can no longer enter through that side. It's the exit side. So, those do work. They just... They aren't visually set up properly because we haven't figured out a way of getting the material set up to interconnect the splines properly.
Mm-hmm.
I did have a suggestion.
Well, why don't you try it out and do it yourself?
Oh, okay. Well, I see how it is.
Reese just pulled a knife out.
Just
drops the mic. Like, why don't you do it?
This is where you'll do it and you get it done first time. And then I'm just going to peace out. Just like, that's it. No.
Yeah, don't hate me because I can code.
Maybe if you learn some things, you get many things made.
Alrighty, so if no one else has any questions or concerns, You can ask him now. We're at the 2 hour and 15 mark. We can probably get ready to call it good. Anyone have any comments?
Yes, I have comment. What's 9 plus 10?
21?
Fucking got it.
9 plus 10? What?
What?
Did you say 9 plus 10?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you answered 21.
21?
Have you not seen that meme?
No. Oh.
Are you
I might
kidding me?
not. I think I know which one you're talking about.
It's 21. It's just
21? That one?
Yeah,
there
that
you
one.
go.
That's the way you said it, Emmanuel. You said it like you were legitimately answering 21.
No, that was
like,
the part of the
what are
joke. I'm like,
I was like, wait, hold on. I didn't make the connection to the meme because of the way you answered.
God, oh, okay, I see how it is.
Christ. Maybe if you learned how to code, you still wouldn't get bitches. Oof.
Maybe you stop putting that spaghetti in your code, you get some bitches on your dick.
Yee-ass code.
Yes, code.
Maybe Sonic will stop snapping to the ground or whatever the fuck. Sega.
Alright, so if no one else has any questions, we can probably call it good here.
Okie dokie.
No other comments or anything. Nothing. I'll have to double check. I'm supposed to be streaming tomorrow with Plymouth, Mini Trance. We're supposed to be doing a Mario 64 race. They might have forgotten. Unless I am misremembering. Do you remember that conversation, Reese? You were there for it.
I remember you talking about it, but I don't remember you making a date of it.
Yeah, I thought we had said like this Tuesday, but because like they're like, oh, I'm free Tuesday. I'm like, oh, well, I can't do it this Tuesday because like we talked about it last Monday. And they're like, no, we can do it next Tuesday. I'm like, all right, that's fine. So, they might have forgotten. I'll have to check up with them and see. Or we might have to reschedule. So if we are, then I may not stream tomorrow. We'll have to see. But if we are, then we're going to be racing randomized Mario 64.
All right.
You go through the first painting, it takes you to the second to last level.
You become Wahoo, man.
Wahoo!
Your speed is only temporary. I can build up speed for eternity.
Your speed is only temporary.
Putting Mr. Smith into the engine.
Mr. Smith? That sounds familiar.
Mr. Smith. That's from The Matrix? Mr. Smith from The Matrix?
No, Mr. Anderson. Oh, you mean the Smith Agents?
Yeah, Smith Agents.
Smith Agents.
Well, you'll be streaming it. Yes, I will be streaming it, Azura. That's what I was talking about. Like, if we are doing the Mario randomized 64 race tomorrow, then I will be streaming it. If not, I will not be streaming tomorrow. So,
okay.
I'll have to check with them and see if they are still willing to do that. If not, then I guess not. So, all right. So, I guess no one else has any other questions. So, I guess we're probably going to call it good here then. We hope everybody had a great time, had a great day. Well, the next dev stream will be March 1st. The last stream we did was on February 1st. This next stream we'll be doing is on March 1st.
Hey, nice.
It's already March.
It's not March yet. We're halfway through February.
It's already March. It is already.
It is the shortest month after all.
Yeah.
Currently.
Yep. So we'll be seeing everybody next time. We hope you guys had a great time, and until then, we'll see you.
See you later.
See you.